got to put in two holes for the pins. There's no noted position where they have to go, but put them in the strong parts. That's the main thing.
Okay, I'll do the rest of them.
And of course we're finishing off with a drop of glue in only one half, both the holes. But only one half, remember that, don't glue the whole two pieces together. Alright, we'll let that sit. It's only PVA glue. It'll dry clear and even. Tomorrow we'll just touch them up with a sandpaper. And now to bring these into their final, into their final shape. These four corners have to be cut off. Unfortunately, I don't have a belt sander. Oh yes, I do. I have a portable belt sander, hand belt sander. I'll drag that out. Hang on. Well, this is going to be noisy, so I'll have to remember to edit the sound level. No, that just crashed. We're back in business. I did have the belt going the right way as far as the arrows were concerned. Not to worry. These belts are new, but I've had them for a long time. They're separating on the glue joint. But the machine goes that way, and the belt goes that way. Well, that's the last. I only had those two belts. So back to doing it by hand. I've only just got to touch this edge a little bit and do that one, and then I've got one more to do. I won't do it by hand. I found one more belt. I hope this doesn't break because this is getting expensive. And again. The glue just let go that time. They're expensive to do that. That is the last build. Must have been too old sitting around. Not happy. They were costly 3M belts. This paper's getting worn out. I'll go and cut some of that belt. That'll teach it. Okay, a fitting use for that mongrel broken belt. Just a little bit more on that fella. How was I doing it? That way? That way. That's all four, I think. A small word of advice when, excuse me, when making these two halves. What was it? Yes. If you notice, there's 3 holes here. That was the original hole, and that was the original hole. By now using that one and that one. I had to put another one in because that hole happened to actually come out after I cut the 45 degrees, came out onto that 45 degree face. I could have left it in there, but no, I'll just in case the peg moves or something. So I just drilled another hole, filled up. They're not a problem. These services get machined in the end. So that's one piece of advice. Second piece of advice, these pegs, don't stick them out too far. I think I've probably got about 4 or 5, yeah, about 5 mil, 4 mil, doesn't matter. About 5 mil. Don't stick them out too far, because then they're reluctant to come apart. So they are ready now to be cast. But while I was waiting for this paint to dry, I thought I'd get back to cleaning up the screw threads and the nut. Now, the reason I say that is, when we tip this over, that's the furthest point that the jaw nut will come out, and that's the closest point. So if I mount this in the centre, it doesn't say in the book where to mount this, but the pictures show that it's centre of the middle pad. I've still got room over here on the side that I can come out, and the screw shanks drives are about 2 to 3 millimeters outside the diameter of the front plate, so I could safely go another, we'll say 2 millimeters. Well, currently that's about about 6 millimeters short. Yeah, about 5-6 millimeters short of being from the outside edge. I've worked out, it's not a problem, you just turn these things around, but when you get to the largest size, you want to go as much as you can. You can just change the nuts, I know that. But when we go to it was that way before, wasn't it? Let's turn that around, let's put that in the middle there now. Again, we're short. So I haven't measured it, but if I can bring that out as far as possible, that increases the capacity of the chuck. So that's what I'm doing now. To achieve that, I am going to, well, on this one I've already done it. Okay. What I've done on this one so far is I've relieved the thread on the end there, and I reduced. This was 2.3 mil, it is now 1.5. So, and further to that, what I plan to do is mill off that edge there. But so currently, just by cleaning the end of this thread up, undercutting it so the nut will go hard up against the flange. Before, it was stopping short of the flange because the die didn't thread all the way to the end. So now it goes hard up against the end. And the original measurement was 51.4, and I now have I now have 49.5, so 0.9 of a millimetre increase. Oh, hang on, no, 49.5, make it 49.4, 9, 10, 11, that's 2 mil. Yeah, 1.9 mil difference, isn't it? Yes. Yes, 1.9 mil. So I've gained 1.9 mil by machining that flange there and undercutting the thread. And then I'll gain another What have we got there? 3mm. Yep. That's a 3mm step, so I'll gain another 3mm if I chop that off. So that's what I'm doing at the present moment. Alright, that'll do for the moment. I am revisiting the screws and the nuts. I've got all the journals now at the right height, alignment. I'm happy with that. But what I wasn't happy with, let's see, I get something point with. What I wasn't happy with was the nut wasn't going all the way up to that, where is it, to that flange. Can we zoom in? Come on, camera. Come on. Okay. The nut, I've blackened it here to show me which side to machine. The nut wasn't going all the way home to the edge of that flange because of the thread. And there was a couple of changes to Gingery's plans, in that, if I remember right, these were supposed to be 3/8, these, which is 9.5 I think mil. These are 12 mil. I didn't have any 10 mil stock. I had 12 mil, so that's pushed the nut further in. The other thing, I made these thicker than 1/16 or 1.6 mil, 1.5 mil. I made them 2.2. So I'm going to correct that problem, and when I do correct that, I will be able to gain with one more other operation 5mm of travel of the nut closer to the bearing. And the other operation is chop off the back of this nut here, machine that off, and then the center of the nut will go closer. I've done 2 already. Here's one, there's a second one. I gained a little bit over 5mm of travel. Can't see that. See, I've machined that off. I've machined the shoulder here down to 1.5. I've then undercut the end of the thread here, so the nut can go all the way to the, as you can see with this one, can go all the way up to the shoulder of the screw. So let's venture over to the lathe, and I've already done 2. I've still got 2 more to do. So let's see what I'm up to over at the lathe. How's that close up? It's not bad. Alright. Let's see what it currently stands at. So this flange has got to be smaller, and it's currently 2.2, and I want to undercut. Just a little bit more on the undercut. Okay, 1.8, 1.5, 1.6. Okay, 1.44, and that's it. Just check this inside edge here. And that's the screw done. So if everything went to plan, that screw will mount up to the edge there. Now what I plan to do, what I'm going to do, because the plan is already set, now what I'm going to do is machine off the edge end of this down to the base of that step. That will give me another 3mm. I'll do that on the milling machine. Let's go next to the mill. This nut, the first time I tried to machine it, I mounted the smaller section of this nut in the vise and then tried milling that off. No, that wasn't going to work, was it? The contact area was far too small for that, and I don't have a small V block, so I've had to think of another way. So what I've done here, I've mounted it to an adapter to a plate, and then that will sit on the mill, and then toe clamps either side, little blocking pieces underneath to level it. Toe clamps either side to mount it. So before that can happen, I need to get this threaded hole, perpendicular, square, whatever. I need to get the threaded hole in the right place, 90 degrees to this plate. So you can see, I can't see properly. I need to go just a little bit more. It's all by eye, this part. Yeah. That looks pretty good. So now on the milling machine, I just set this to 15mm. Just nip this side down. good. So now the plate is parallel with the bed and the screw should be. And the screw the screw hole should now be square to the cutter. Just get up here and have a look. I'm looking from the top, lining it up in the bedway. Yep, that works good. Now the step is 3.2 and that's what I've just taken off. There's a little bit of a step there, but that doesn't matter. That does not matter. I can now deburr this. Take it off. Put it in the vise. Alright, let's I've deburred it. I've had to run the tap through it a couple of times. It's now running smooth. So let's just put this together. All right.